Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the wonderful people here on the island of Nevis, those on our sister island of St. Kitts, those who are listening throughout the Caribbean. Good evening to those in the United States and Canada, to those across the pond in the United Kingdom. Good evening to our students in Taiwan. And, of course, wherever you are, we say good evening to you. Tonight is a beautiful night here in Nevis, a warm night. It is also a beautiful night on our sister island of St. Kitts, where, of course, cricket is happening. The CPL is in full flow. I'm hopeful that there's some people who will be listening to the show tonight, because I'm just being told that a big match is on the way in St. Kitts, the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots against the Jamaica Tallawahs, and I understand that those are the top two teams in the tournament thus far. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to have one eye on the cricket and the other eye on the mark. We have to keep the show going, and I'm particularly hopeful that when the lines open, people will call, because I don't want to have the pressure of having to speak for 2 hours. Remember that this is the only show of its kind in the Federation, 2 hours of primetime talk radio without the interruption of commercials. We have been able to do that through the generosity of Daniel Brantley, a leading law firm in the region that has sponsored this show for the past 14 years. We say thank you to them for doing their part in making this show possible. Thank you to VON Radio for doing its part in having us on the air and using their facility. We have been here, as I say, for, well, almost now a decade and a half. And the important thing about it is that this show has continued to attract attention from the public. It has continued to attract participation from the public, and most of all, this show has, we feel, contributed to lifting the standards of debate in the country. We don't always get it right, nobody does, but we continue to try, and so we certainly welcome, when the lines are open, all of our callers and all of our people to consider the standards that we have set here at Vaughan Radio, where only the best will do, but also consider the standards we've set for the show. Now, at the very top of the show, I start with some greetings, and I would certainly like to extend birthday greetings to my dear little princess. I can't call her little anymore because she's now all grown up, but Briandra Liburd. I always say that she's going to be, I hope she continues on that path, a great lawyer and a future Prime Minister of this country. Briandra, good evening to you if you're listening. I'm bringing your birthday greetings. I'm told that today is your birthday and that you are celebrating all day, in fact all week. And so I wish you a happy birthday, and I pray God's continued blessings upon you. This is coming, of course, from your dad, Brem, your mom, Sandra, the entire family circle, but it's also coming from us here at Vaughan Radio, here, all of us are on the mark, and from me. So happy birthday, Brandra. I pray and hope that God continues to bless you. Let me also, since I'm in birthday greeting mode, greet Lavington Forbes, right there from Hamilton, who's also celebrating today. Lavington, if you're listening, happy birthday. This is coming to you from, of course, my dear friend Hyacinth and the entire family circle, but also from us here at Vaughan Radio and from me here and on the mark. I trust and hope that you had a wonderful day today. Let me, since I'm definitely in birthday greeting mode, also extend advance birthday greetings to my dear friend Rodney Elliott. Rodney is celebrating on Sunday the 5th. And she certainly is somebody who's well known in the community, needs no introduction. Rodney, may God bless you and keep you, and may your birthday come and it bring you all that you deserve and more. And I know that the entire family, the youngsters, I can't even call them youngsters now, your children, let me call them that, Wendy, and of course Nicole, Yoki, and Randy, that they will take care of you. And I know Yakira especially is going to do something very special for you for your birthday. So happy birthday when it comes, Rodney, and I wish you all the best, and again, God's continued grace and mercy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start the show with a bit of information. I would want to advise the general public that our schools reopen on Monday the 6th. Our schools reopen on Monday the 6th. I really am pleased that our education ministry and our individuals there, our minister, the Honorable Troy Liburd, but also his staff, his permanent secretary, P.S. Barrett, and of course his chief education officer, Mrs. Anella Claxton, that they are really working with their team and with the principals and the various teachers have got ready for school. And so they put out a flyer to say that all preschool and primary school students are scheduled to return on Monday the 6th September 2021. Secondary schools will also reopen on Monday the 6th September 2021. The phased reopening schedule will be communicated to you by your school, and of course we are thrilled to welcome you back. Now, why is this important? It's important because, of course, we're in the midst of a COVID surge. And in fact, we saw some numbers just yesterday which suggested that we had 475 active cases in St. Kitts and Nevis total. On the island of Nevis, we have 152 total cases at the moment, and we have a total of 969 cases on St. Kitts, for a grand total since this pandemic started of 1,121 cases. Insofar as the island of Nevis more specifically is concerned, the stats as of yesterday, we had 9 new cases in the last 24 hours. We have 124 active cases on Nevis. 28 persons have recovered, 4 hospitalizations, no deaths, and 152 total cases recorded on Nevis to date. And so that is the current position on the island of Nevis. I would want to also extend to our teams, the COVID Task Force team on Nevis led by Dr. Judy Nisbet, that nationally led by Mr. Abdius Samuel, for the continued work that they continue to do for the benefit of us all. In fact, let me, whilst I am talking about that, also thank those who have been involved with the testing. As you know, the more people test positive, the more we have to do contact tracing, and the more testing is required. And so we wanted to really thank those who have come. The testing team is led by a retired nurse. She came back to assist. She's Nurse Hildred Mintos Somersall, and she's ably assisted by Nurse Rochelle Paris, community health nurse, and Dr. Kentisha Daly from Bath, who recently returned from Cuba, is also assisting us. These testers, I just want the public to understand that these testers wake at 4 a.m. and they start taking samples at 5 a.m. and most days continue throughout the day, visiting homes, hotels, quarantine sites as the case. They are working extremely hard with increasing cases and contact tracing. I say that because, of course, we sometimes as a public can be impatient. We want the results. We want to know what's happening right away. But I ask you to bear in mind that we're dealing with fellow human beings, and that many of our fellow citizens and nationals are working while we are sleeping. With the upsurge we have had in cases, it is proven difficult to keep up, but we're doing our best. And I believe Nurse Somersall, Nurse Rochelle Paris, and of course Dr. Daly, Kentisha Daly, that they all need to be commended, and that we ought to continue to exercise some patience, because we recognize, as I said, that the testing regime continues apace. We also have nurses who are managing cases, because the cases now are so many that we are not able to put everyone into a quarantine site. So we're doing a selective quarantining or isolation, meaning that based on symptoms, based on where somebody lives, whether or not their home is convenient for them to isolate, self-isolate, we're doing all that and trying our very best to ensure that we keep our people safe. I did announce that Nevis now has PCR testing equipment. I would want to publicly thank the Drahi Foundation for their very generous donation of this equipment. We have recently hired lab technicians who have some expertise in PCR testing, COVID testing, and the hope would be that that equipment would be up and running soon. That will allow us to respond with greater rapidity. We, of course, have had the concern that all the samples that we have to be collected, then transported by boat to St. Kitts, then by vehicle to the lab, and then, of course, we have the back and forth that is required. And that is why it has been a bit more expensive to do the testing from Nevis, because of the additional costs and steps that are involved. We are hopeful that once the PCR machine is set up and we are certified to do the testing, that will eliminate that cost considerably to our people. and allow us to be able to respond in a more rapid fashion. And so we thank those who are involved, the retired nurses as well, who have come back out to assist us. I know I've heard of some names. I don't have the full list, but certainly our former matron and my dear friend Nurse Diaz. We've had the assistant matron, Mrs. Scarborough, Jessica Scarborough. I know for sure that they have been assisting, and I have heard that others are being asked to come out and assist, and I thank them all who have responded positively. We thank you. As I'm talking about nursing, we continue to have an acute shortage of nurses. We continue to appeal to our young people. This government provides full assistance to nurses to study and to do their nursing degree at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College in St. Kitts. I think that is a UE program, University of the West Indies program. And we continue to support our nurses and our nursing fraternity. We've recently had some nurses go off to do master's degrees, and we continue to be supportive of them because we want young people especially to consider nursing, male and female, consider nursing as a viable choice, a viable career path for them. And I admire greatly those nurses that have done sometimes 30 and 40 years and have contributed immensely through their service. So we thank them, and those that have been willing to come back and assist us in this crisis, we thank you as well. Now, let us mention the numbers. I should also mention that we continue to urge our people to be responsible. We continue to urge persons to wear their masks in public and to, of course, sanitize their hands, practice social distancing, physical distancing, and to ensure that they stay safe. One of the weapons that we've deployed against COVID is, of course, the vaccination. And we had AstraZeneca vaccine. That is what I took. That is what now over 70% of our adult population is taken. We, through diplomatic channels, now have access as well to the Pfizer vaccine. And I'm very pleased that today we had the soft rollout of the Pfizer vaccination for St. Kitts and Nevis. We, of course, received some 11,000+ doses of Pfizer through the generosity of the Joe Biden administration, President Biden. We want to say thank you to President Biden and the United States of America for being a friend not only to Nevis, but to the entire Caribbean region, and for providing Pfizer vaccines to our people. Pfizer is now fully FDA approved. And so while some were hesitant, saying that some of the vaccines had not yet achieved or been fully approved, Pfizer has now been fully approved. And Pfizer has been fully approved for those 16 and up, but the consensus is, and it has been given emergency approval for those who are 12 and up. And so the United States and others have started to vaccinate the teenagers, those 12 and up, of course, with parental consent. And we therefore encourage parents to continue to make their children available to be vaccinated, and so keep us all much safer. As schools reopen, as I mentioned, on the 6th, it means that teachers and students, caregivers in our daycares and nurseries and preschools, that all would have to be vaccinated in order to ensure that our schools remain safe. We have had a Safe Schools program for a long time. And Safe Schools is not just about having proper handrails and proper facilities. It is also about our people being safe. Our teachers, our caregivers in our daycare centers and our nurseries not taking COVID into the classroom and into the school. That is important for us, and so teachers must be responsible. Daycare givers must be responsible. They must ensure that they protect themselves and protect those in their charge. We say the same of those who are caring for the elderly, those workers at the flamboyant home, those workers at the carding home. You must be vaccinated in order to protect yourselves and protect those who are vulnerable and in your care. The Pfizer vaccine rollout gives us another string to our bow. It gives us another way to protect our people and especially our children. And so we urge those who can to get vaccinated. We urge the adults who have not yet vaccinated to make themselves available at our clinics to be vaccinated. Now, we rolled out the Pfizer vaccination today. As I said, there were 12 persons vaccinated on St. Kitts and 11 on Nevis. That was a soft rollout, and we intend to continue in that vein at our various health centers. Tomorrow, I'm advised that the Pfizer vaccine will be administered here in Nevis at the Charlestown Health Center, and also I'm told some at the Combermere Health Center. And as of next week, we will have the vaccine rolled out at all the health centers island-wide. Now, as part of the rollout, we are asking persons to call and book an appointment. And the reason for that is simple. The reason for calling their health center and saying that you wish to come in to get vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine is because each vial has to be defrosted, and once it's defrosted, it cannot be refrigerated again. So it has to be defrosted, and once it's defrosted, we have to use that vial once it's opened. And so the idea is that you defrost it, you open it, you use it, and it cannot then be put back into the deep freeze or frozen again. So we want to ensure that we have enough people coming into a particular health center that we don't waste the vaccine, that we have enough people to take the jab so that each vial of the Pfizer vaccine, of course, works, and each vial is used to the maximum that it can vaccinate. So we're trying to cut down on waste, and that is why we're asking individuals, please, to call and book. I'm told by one individual that they called the Charlestown Health Center today and were told that they could not take the appointment as yet. Well, I'm here to tell you tonight that call your health centers, please, and make the appointment. Take in your child once your child is 12 and over, and of course go in yourself if you're not yet vaccinated. Let us use this Pfizer vaccine, and let us get our people to a level where we have herd immunity, and we reach that 70% and above. That for us is critical. Remember, 70% is only the minimum that we're trying to achieve. And so let us continue. The good news is that St. Kitts and Nevis continues to have one of the highest vaccination rates in the CARICOM region, and that amongst all the independent countries in the Caribbean, St. Kitts and Nevis continues to be best in class in relation to vaccination. Let us continue in that vein. We are accustomed to leading in so many ways in the region, so let us continue to lead and continue to provide what is necessary to our people to protect them. Now, insofar as hospitalizations are concerned, Nevis, and I deal specifically with Nevis, I'm advised has had 6 persons thus far hospitalized with COVID or as a result of COVID. 2 have since been discharged. We currently have 4 persons, including an 8-year-old child. I think that's important, including an 8-year-old child. You see, sometimes when we talk about vaccination, sometimes when we talk about the effort, many people scoff. Many people say, oh, they're not interested in that. They can take care of themselves. They're strong. They're young. Whatever it is they say. And I always say to persons that it's not just about you. It's also about others. It's about your friends and family. It's about your neighbors. It's about your children. Remember that children who are under 12, there's no vaccine for them. Children who are under 12, there's no vaccine for them. So they are dependent on you, the adults, to do the right thing so that they can be protected. Let me say that again. Children under 12, there is no vaccine for them. They are therefore wholly dependent on you, the adults, to be responsible and do the right thing so that they can be protected. And here we have an 8-year-old who's among those warded at the Alexandra Hospital as a result of COVID. The 6 persons, including that child, 2 already discharged from hospital, 4 in hospital, I'm advised, none have been vaccinated. And so I think that that's important statistic as well. That of the 6, of course the child couldn't be vaccinated, but we include the child in the 6, that none of those have been fully vaccinated. And it means, therefore, that thus far, even on those very small numbers, the evidence and the science is proving once again to be accurate, that those who are vaccinated continue to have a low risk of contracting COVID, a much lower risk of transmitting COVID, a much lower risk of having symptoms from COVID, a much lower risk of being hospitalized, and a much lower risk of dying from COVID. The statistics globally suggest that COVID-19 has rapidly become the disease of the unvaccinated. That is the data. That is not discrimination or division I've heard those words now creeping into the lexicon of those in opposition who continue to try to use this pandemic for political purposes, who continue not to raise their hand and say, here I am, I have come to work, I have come to partner, because this is about our island, our country, and our future. No, many of them have continued this posturing, as if to say, somehow in the recesses of their minds, that if the island or the country were to collapse under the weight of COVID, that it would be the government's fault, and somehow they would get political mileage from that. I urge those in opposition, those who are in and those who want to be in politics, to understand that politics is about leadership. Servant leadership, to be sure, but about leadership nevertheless. And part of leadership is taking positions in relation to matters as you see them in the best interests of our people. Sitting on the fence, continuing to say, I'm not telling you to do it, I'm not telling you not to do it, you must make up your own mind and do what you want to do. That is not a position. A position is to say, I believe in the vaccine and I'm encouraging persons to get vaccinated. Full stop. Punto final. That is what leadership is about. This wishy-washy, on the river, on the bank type of approach doesn't help any of us. And so I feel that we need to see an emergence of all voices. I heard a priest, a Catholic priest from Trinidad and Tobago, speaking from the pulpit, making a valiant and courageous appeal to people of the Christian faith. Get vaccinated. Telling them that essentially it is meaningless that some seem to be arguing that their life is in the hands of God, and if God says that they are to die from COVID, then they will die from COVID. And the argument was made, and I think correctly so, that God also gave us intelligence. God gave us sense. Good sense too. And if there is a disease out there, and the God who is all powerful, almighty, and all knowing has equipped mankind to come up with the scientific knowledge to have for that disease a vaccine, then certainly that vaccine is available to us. And just as the disease has come, so the vaccine has come to fight it. And so some are arguing on religious terms that, oh, they have faith. Of course, we all have faith. But faith doesn't mean that you have to be foolish. Faith doesn't mean that you go up into a plane and jump out in the air because you say Jesus will save you. That is not what faith means. Faith means that you believe in God to protect you, but while you believe in God to protect you, you must also protect yourself, and you must also do what is right and responsible. You don't drive down the street, in the middle of the street, stone, moderation, drunk, no seat belt, and say you believe in God. You drive down the street, full speed, in the middle of the road, no seat belt. You're on a motorcycle, you drive one wheel, no helmet, and you say, I believe in God. Well, I don't believe that God encourages foolishness. God is a serious God, and I believe that where He has given us the tools, He has given them to us to be used. And so we must be wise. And so I commend that particular priest from Trinidad and Tobago. His name eludes me at the moment. But I also commend all of our local preachers here, men and women of the cloth, who have continued to advocate for our people to be responsible and to do the right thing. I think that that is important. Our politicians need to do the right thing. Our leaders in our community groups need to do the right thing. Our leaders in our families need to do the right thing. Imagine you are in a household with school-age children and you refuse to vaccinate. What if you were to take COVID into them? Imagine you're in a household with elderly parents or grandparents, many of whom have underlying conditions, diabetes or hypertension or heart disease or cancer, and you refuse to vaccinate and take COVID into them. You can be taking them a death sentence. And I don't want that to be on anybody's conscience, to know that you gave your own child COVID or your own elderly parent COVID and sentenced them to hospitalization and possibly death. Let us act responsibly. As I mentioned, the politics, we have sought as a party in government not to politicize this issue of COVID-19. Why? Because we have said very clearly that all hands must be on deck, that we need an all-of-society approach in relation to COVID. Notwithstanding our pleas, the opposition in Nevis in particular has refused to join hands with us. It is not too late, and I continue to appeal to them to turn around from that position and to join hands with us and let us fight COVID together. I say this because I looked recently at the various countries in the Caribbean. In Anguilla, our sister island, very near and dear to my heart, we saw in Anguilla that the entire parliament, opposition and government together, went together to be vaccinated publicly so that the public in Anguilla can see that they are at one. As we say in law, they are ad idem in relation to vaccination. We see in the British Virgin Islands, the leader of the opposition there, Marlon Penn, coming out very forcefully in speech after speech on social media, encouraging people to vaccinate. We see in Trinidad and Tobago, the leader of the opposition there, Kamla Persad Bissessar, former Prime Minister, now leader of the opposition, going into the Parliament and encouraging all Trinbagans, Trinidadians and Tobagans to go out and vaccinate. In fact, she went so far to say that the opposition in Trinidad and Tobago is organizing transportation, rallying their people to go and vaccinate. She's not in government. She's the leader of the opposition. We see in Jamaica, I was so blessed when I saw a video with Christopher Tufton, the Minister of Health, and the opposition PNP spokesperson on health. Together they did a video encouraging Jamaicans to go out and vaccinate. I saw the leader of the opposition in Jamaica and the president of the People's National Party, Mark Golden, doing a formal presentation saying he took the vaccine, and he's encouraging all Jamaicans as leader of the opposition, as president of the PNP, to go out and vaccinate. Right here in St. Lucia, we saw the then leader of the opposition, Philip Pear, coming out and saying to the St. Lucia Labour Party, whilst he was opposition, to go out and vaccinate. And he and his entire team of candidates went together live to vaccinate, to show that they were in support of St. Lucia, not of the government, but of St. Lucia. History will show that Mr. Pear went on to win the elections and is now the Prime Minister. You see, he recognized that at the end of the day, COVID doesn't discriminate. COVID is not interested in whether you're Labour or, I think the other party on this is called UWP or something like that. COVID doesn't care if you're NRP or CCM, you know. COVID doesn't care if you're young or old. COVID comes to infect you and to destroy your life. That's what it comes to do. And so he recognized, as leader of the opposition, that is Philip Pear, in St. Lucia, that if he won the election, which in fact it turns out he did, and he became Prime Minister, which in fact it turns out he has become Prime Minister, that he will still have to confront COVID. And that COVID, part of the confrontation with COVID is the vaccine. And so he came out and took his entire team and they all got vaccinated together. Here in Nevis we have people playing Bo Peep. Bo Peep. I'm told some strong NRP supporters have gone left one constituency where they live, where there's a clinic, and gone in another constituency, they don't want nobody see them getting vaccinated. We have NRP candidates who continue to waffle and dilly-dally and seek to obfuscate and confuse people. We have the NRP leadership. Have you seen them go together to get vaccinated? Do you know if any of them is vaccinated? Has any of them come to say, I am vaccinated and I want you to go and vaccinate? I was surprised when a lady who was supportive of the opposition said to me, she not take no vaccine for me. You know what they say? She not take no vaccine for me. And I told her, but I'm already vaccinated. So is my wife, so are my children. So you're not taking it for me. You're taking it to protect yourself, your family, those you work with. And we have to be mindful, ladies and gentlemen, that there is no room in this for politics, because when sickness comes, it holds who it can hold. The same people then, turn around, having refused to lift a finger to help, and they say to the government, oh, you're not doing enough. You don't have enough equipment at the hospital. The health system is not equipped enough. You are not creating jobs. The economy is down. And they go on and on and on in terms of the criticisms. You ask the question, and it is a serious question. If you genuinely love people, if you genuinely love the people of Nevis, if you genuinely want to serve the people of Nevis, what better evidence of love can there be than to want people's lives to be saved? Jesus Christ himself set the example. He set the example. For God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. A favorite passage of scripture that we all know. God sent his Son to do what? To save us. An act of sacrifice to save us. That's what love is about. Love is about not just lip service, but demonstrating that you love and care. And if the science tells you and the scientists say that the vaccine is our best weapon against this deadly disease, then all of us who say we love people, all of us who say we want to serve people should rally. Rally behind it, rally with it, and encourage our people to vaccinate. We shouldn't be fence sitting. I have said in the past, you see someone about to jump off the pier in Charlestown, you know they will drown if they do so. You say you love them, you want to serve them, and your response to that person about to jump off, well, it's their choice. They could jump or not jump, is up to them. That can't be the true response of a leader. Your response to that person is to say, young man or young woman, I am urging you not to jump over the pier. Because if you do, you put yourself at risk of dying. And because I love you and I want to serve you, I am saying to you, do not jump. That is leadership. Not sitting down on the fence and say, well, if they jump, they jump. If they not jump, they not jump. It's up to them. We must encourage our people. I hear some people making a whole heap of noise. Oh, people shouldn't be allowed to be sent home if they are not vaccinated from their workplace. People shouldn't be required to do mandatory testing. And again, I say, if you really love people, you will encourage people to be responsible. There's one large company here in Nevis. The last outbreak that we had, we trace now some 30 plus cases to that company. You know the result? The company had to shut down all of its departments, all of its operations shut. Now what of the staff, including the staff that are vaccinated, that did the right thing? They're going home too because the company is shut. What of the owners? Who's going to compensate them? And so when people respond and say, I need to protect my business, you say you have a right not to do certain things. Well, the businessman has a right to protect his business. And so you have this conflict that emerges because everybody wants to say that they have their right. But I continue to say that the existence of your right, undoubted as it is, cannot result in an infringement of mine. And I deserve and have a right to live in a community that is free of COVID, where I don't go into an establishment and put myself at risk. You deserve out there not to take your child to a daycare center and not know if your child is going to come down with COVID because the caregiver has COVID. You deserve to put your elderly person at the flamboyant home and expect the best care for that person, not that they catch COVID. You deserve to send your student to school, to primary school, Joyston Liebert, Ivor Walters, Charlestown Primary, VOJN, Maud Cross, St. Thomas's Primary, EPPS, St. James Primary. You deserve to send your children to Montessori and to the Nevis Academy, to the Charlestown Secondary School, to the Gingerland High School, to the Nevis International School, whatever the school. You deserve to send your children and know that your children are in a safe environment. So if you have teachers, you have caregivers who say, me not vaccinate because I have my rights. Yes, you have your rights. But do you have the right to make yourself vulnerable to COVID and take it into the school? A young woman, a young mother, and I have been communicating back and forth on WhatsApp today. And she is anxious about the reopening of schools on Monday. Others have called me equally anxious. A young mother from Guyana who lives here rang me, said, I am frightened for my children going into school. And I can understand that. We love our children. We want the best for them. And why are they frightened? They're frightened because they know that a lot of our teachers and caregivers have refused to vaccinate. And so they are scared. And the young woman today asked me, she said, what if schools reopen and then there is somebody in the school that's infected? The school going to have to close down. And when that happens, think about the dislocation that results in. For parents now scrambling to find some place for their child to go during the day. For the children themselves, whose learning is disrupted. Think about it. Because our decisions, our personal decisions, are having consequences well beyond us as individuals. I say to people that if you have the right, certainly you do, not to take medication for your hypertension or your diabetes, to refuse the cancer treatment, you say you prefer to drink bush tea, that's your right. But at the end of the day, the exercise of those rights don't impact the soul but you. When you're dealing with a contagious disease, it's a different matter. Because when you are reckless or careless in your decision making, you then have the potential to affect other people. And as I spoke to the young mother today, and I said, we have this concern as well as the government as to whether or not our teachers and our caregivers are vaccinated. And we are hopeful that we don't have any outbreak in any of the schools or we have to close schools. She said to me, alas, the vaccinated are paying the price for the recklessness of the unvaccinated. And I thought that was an interesting observation. And since in our country over 70% of our adults have taken the decision to vaccinate, it also means that we run the risk of the minority who refuse And I'm not here talking about people with medical reasons. I'm talking about people who just refuse. They're not take none. That minority will continue to affect and infect the majority. And so I can understand the argument. It resonates with me. Because this young mother wants the best for her children. She wants her children to go to work, to go to school in a safe environment. And so I continue to urge, encourage, beseech, beg, if you will, our people to do the right thing. I encourage the opposition here on Nevis, that in the wider federation, I encourage you to step up and to do the right thing. Hold hands. If there's ever an issue that we should hold hands on, it's this. You know, people have said that COVID-19 is a war. And they're right. They're right. Because if we don't win this war, we can suffer annihilation. If we don't win this war, St. Kitts and Nevis can really disappear as we know it. And I recall the tragic events of 9/11, when those terrorists put those jet planes into the Twin Towers. And I recall then President Bush getting on a bullhorn, standing on the rubble, and saying that they will pay for what they've done. On that day, my friends, there were no Republicans, there were no Democrats, there were no independents, there were only Americans. And I want to say that again. On the day of the 9/11 attack, when over 3,000 persons lost their lives due to a terrorist attack on the United States of America, their president, President Bush, an iconic photo of him standing on the rubble in New York, getting on a bullhorn and declaring to the world that those responsible will pay. And I tell you that at that moment there were no Republicans, there were no Democrats, there were no independents, there were only Americans. Our motto in our country is country above self. What that says is that there comes a time in our country when each and every one of us must be counted. That there should be no NRP, no CCM, no PAM, no Labour, no PLP. There should only be citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis, nationals and patriots coming together to fight the common enemy. When the enemy is defeated, you can proclaim to the top of your voice that you're NRP or CCM. But at the point when your country is being threatened, that is the point where people must come together, where we have to put aside what divides us and unite around the fight against this common enemy. You hear what I say? Common enemy. That is why Philip Pear in St. Lucia came out as leader of the opposition and encouraged Labour Party supporters in St. Lucia to get vaccinated. He is now the Prime Minister. That is why Kamla Prasad Bisasa in Trinidad and Tobago said that their opposition there is actually arranging and organizing transportation to take people to vaccinate. That is why Marlon Penn, the leader of the opposition in the British Virgin Islands, has gone on the air, on radio and social media to do what? Encourage BV Islanders. He said something instructive. And I paraphrase that everybody must get together to fight COVID. And so he's joining the government. In Jamaica, leader of the opposition, president of the People's National Party, the PNP, has come out, Mark Golden, and said we must join with the government to fight COVID. In fact, in Jamaica, government and opposition have signed on to an accord to say that whatever else divides us, on this issue, we are united because this issue threatens the very survival of Jamaica. In Anguilla, every parliamentarian has publicly taken the vaccine and done it together. a very potent and powerful show of solidarity and unity against a common enemy. And I believe it's a stark contrast to what we're seeing here. Bickering and debating and fence-sitting and criticism. You know, we have, ladies and gentlemen, not got it completely right. I am not here to suggest that we have. But I do know that many people have worked extremely hard. Many have prayed and continue to pray for this country. The prayer warriors out there have worked on bended knee. Men in leadership have had countless sleepless nights as we worry. What is going to happen, where we're going to go? Because there's no manuscript or playbook. There's no library that we could go and take a book off the shelf and say how to manage the COVID-19 pandemic. There was no such thing. We had to work and work using what measures we had available to us, what tools we had available to seek to ensure that our people were safe. Along the way, many have helped. But the work is plentiful. The work is heavy. And oftentimes in this life, the hands are few. The workers are few. So people have continued to do their best. And it really bothers me in a significant way that we have some that all they could do is criticize. They know everything that is being done wrong, but they themselves are not lifting a finger to help. And criticizing is easy. Any of us has the capacity to criticize. Oh, look how stupid he look. Imagine he that pull up all of them grass there in the hot sun. All this, all that. We have the ability to do so. It's the easiest thing to do. But the ability to help, the ability to offer constructive ideas, the ability to roll up your sleeves and say, this is our country, let's get to work. The ability to say, if you truly love people, the way you say you do, that you will seek their best interests. You will seek to keep them alive. You will seek to say to them, vaccinate so we can get the economy going again. You're not doing it for Mark Brantley. You're not doing it for the CCM. You're not doing it for the government. You're doing it for the country. And some issues are bigger than any of us. And this COVID-19 pandemic is one. So again, I urge the opposition to take a leaf out of the book of Philip Pear, of Kamla Bissessar, of Cora Richardson Hodgin Anguilla, of Marlon Penn in the BVI. Take a page out of the book of Mark Golden in Jamaica, and come on board. We now have the Pfizer vaccine, fully FDA approved. Come on board. Encourage parents to allow their children to be vaccinated. Encourage parents themselves to be vaccinated. Come on board. Go to the media, say, listen, I have taken the vaccine. I am fine. I have confidence in it. I encourage you to go and get vaccinated. Do like they've done in Trinidad. Organize transportation. Take your supporters to get vaccinated. If you care about people as you say you do, if you love people as you say you do, it has to be more than just criticism. It has to be more than just criticism, because criticism, as we understand it, is easy to do. We have some people out there say COVID is a hoax. COVID is not real. COVID was man-made. They say all kinds of things. The doctors come and the doctors speak up. They say what is the reality and what the science says. They say, oh, the doctors don't know what they must say. They want fool Abby. COVID gonna put a chip in my body. COVID gonna turn my whole body into a magnet. All kinds of claims and counterclaims. COVID gonna allow them to control my mind. And when it is all said and done, we curse the doctors, we curse the science. But the minute we catch COVID, we rush up to the hospital. And the same doctor we have no confidence in, when he says to us, vaccinate so that you could have the best fighting chance against COVID, we go to the same doctor and say, Doc, oh my God, I have COVID, save me. Well, how you didn't believe him when he tell you about the vaccine, but you believe him now, you think he can save you? It's an interesting point. At our Alexander Hospital, we've had to impose some restrictions. Despite the, again, foolish chatter of those who should know better, the Alexander Hospital isn't closed. We have had to put some measures in place to ensure that the hospital is not overrun and the hospital isn't forced to close. So, with 6 COVID patients, we have said, listen, if you have what is called elective surgery, so it's not urgent, you have chosen to do something and it can wait, let it wait. That we can't have people if they're visiting as usual because we have patients with COVID, a highly infectious and highly contagious disease. So we're saying that we're restricting access. We are making decisions to protect our people. And it would be a tremendous manifestation of our creed of country above self. A tremendous manifestation of our patriotism if we would hold hands on these issues and speak with one voice, sing from the same hymn sheet, in the same pew, at the same church. That is my appeal this evening to the opposition, to the clergy, to the community leaders, to the family leaders, and to every single person in this beloved island of ours. Let us fight this enemy together. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. I have spoken for almost an hour, but I thought it was important to say certain things. And I would want to open the lines now and invite your calls at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening, Mr. Sheriff.
Good evening to you. How are you?
Well, I'm giving God thanks.
Yes.
You come a real preacher now. John 14, verse 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I'll go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go, he know, and the way he know. Good night, culture. Sympathies going out to all who lose their loved ones. Mr. Brantley, God and deal with everything. Support you. Good night. God.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you. And we do need God to be in our midst right now. It is 5 minutes to the hour. We continue to take your calls. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello? Okay, caller, could you call back in, please? I'm not sure if you're on a cell phone or what, but could you try again? 469-1616, 469-1700. Let's try again. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Yes. Good evening, Mark.
How are you, my dear?
I'm listening to you. You said I'm mournful. I'm good. And you good otherwise?
I'm good, thank you.
Try and Mr. Evelyn's sympathy. We know one young clown who departed from the drugstore. Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Evelyn.
And everybody have a blessed day. I listen to two radio, one with cricket and one with you. Yes. Have a good night and tell Nara, say hello. I love all of you. Take care.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We are truly grateful for your call and for your continued support and love. And we're hoping that you stay safe. We're taking your calls, 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening to you.
7 keys to life. God first. Love one another. Never hate. Give generously. Live simple. Forgive quickly. And be kind always. I repeat. God first. Love one another. Never hate. Give generously. Live simple. Forgive quickly. And be kind always. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. We will continue to take calls 869-469-1616 and 1700. In fact, if there's somebody out there who could update us on the cricket, call and tell us about what's happening as well. We know tonight is going to be a difficult night because we are cricket lovers and cricket is on. I'm told the Patriots and the Jamaica Tallowers. And so if you have results from that so far, let us know as well. This is On the Mark. If you're just tuned in, my name is Mark Brantley. I'm your host, and we are here until the hour of 10 o'clock. We're taking your calls now. I have spoken for a bit, and I'm hopeful that persons will call in if they have something that is on their minds, something that they would wish to say. We are hopeful that you will call in and that you will share that with us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have continued here as we wait on the phones to ring. We have continued to engage with our public. I would want to say to the Bath Village community that on Thursday, that is tomorrow evening, we have a town hall meeting at the Bath Community Center. The purpose of that is to discuss the start of the road construction in Bath. You will recall that this is a commitment that I would have made as your representative. It's a commitment that the government would have made. And now that we've well and truly commenced and are proceeding with the road in Butlers, assured the people of Bath that we will start the road this year. And so we're about to mobilize, but as always, before we do that, we like to have some consultation. And so we would encourage you to show up at the community center there, the Alberta Payne Community Center in Bath Village, right there by the Tammin Tree, to show up and engage with us tomorrow evening. I believe it starts at about 7. And the Public Works, Water Department, etc. are going to be there. I would like to thank the Honourable Minister Spencer Brand for his leadership in relation to this particular venture. He knows the pressure that I've put on him to say to him that, listen, we need to get these projects done. The pressure is also on the public purse because clearly revenue is down considerably. But these are commitments that we have made, and these are commitments that we will have to continue to make. I would want the heavy equipment operators, the truckers, the workers, and everybody in Bath to be able to benefit from this particular project. So we ask you to come out tomorrow and to have a discussion. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley. My name is Elizabeth. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm calling to talk about a few of the Caribbean Wellness Day activities that we're having this year. The first one, we're going to be having a Caribbean Wellness Yoga series. You can hear me well?
I can hear you. There's a bit of static, but go ahead.
Okay, and so on September the 4th, starting Saturday, September the 4th, we're going to be having the first session at the Nevis Heritage Village. The second one is on September the 18th, which is the following Saturday, at the Nevis Artisan Village. And then on the 25th, we have the one at Port Charles. They all start at 7 a.m. until 8 a.m. And participation is free, but we have registration required. So participants will go on our Facebook page, Nevis HCU, and register. We also have Sneaker Day, our annual Sneaker Day. The Sneaker Day turns 5 this year. So we're asking persons to lace up your sneakers and wear your mask. So we're encouraging persons to match your outfit with your mask and your sneakers, or you could just match your mask and your sneakers. And of course, prizes will be won. We're asking persons to upload these pictures to our Facebook page. And we're also encouraging businesses to have a health station offering customers like healthy snacks, bottled water, and stuff like that. We also will be having our Caribbean Wellness Day walk, which happens on Saturday, September the 11th, and that starts at 6 a.m. We are warming up at 5:30. It starts at Yaxman Grill entrance. We go through via the main road through Charlestown, and we end at the Villa Grounds as we did last year. And then the final one we have a Let's Face It, Wear a Mask with a Message challenge, and this one is catered to primary school and high school students. So we are asking that they design a mask or come up with a creative, helpful message for mask, and they can send these designs to our health promotion at niagov.com. Email and it's one entry per student, and we're asking that they send them in the JPEG or PNG format. All of the information I just said can be found on both our Instagram and our Facebook page, Nevis HPU, as well as they're free to call the office and ask questions. For the walk and for the yoga series, we ask that persons register via the link on both pages.
Okay, and is there any update from the HPU? Well, let me, before I say that, thank you very much for the excellent work that you and the team there continue to do.
Thank you.
Is there any update on the vaccination effort from the HPU? I know that that I was told that some infomercials and information would be out. Are you dealing with that as well?
Yes, we are in the process of doing that. We started doing some earlier this week as well. So we're in the process of doing that.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to hearing updates from you regularly, and you're always welcome to be a guest here, as you know, on the Mark, to talk about these and other health initiatives that we engage in. I have actually ordered my sneakers. I hope I get them in time for Sneaker Day. So
I hope so too.
We'll have to see how that goes, you know.
Right.
It looks like even FedEx them get COVID sometimes, so we'll see what happens. But certainly, I look forward to that event each year and commend.
And remember,
the
this year you have to match your mask and your sneakers, eh?
Well, you know, I try my best. I'll see how it goes. All right. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So Ms. Nesbitt of the Health Promotion Unit advising us about some events that are happening, seeking to save lives here on the island and seeking to promote healthy lifestyles. Sneaker Day is always popular, and we look forward to it for sure. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the Mark.
Good evening, Mr. Bentley. How are you tonight?
Good evening to you. I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I want you to know I pray for you, you know.
Thank you
And
so
all
much.
the leaders in the Caribbean, because it just cannot be easy. If it's not easy in the USA and in the EU, can't be easy here.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to first send some condolences to some relatives of mine over in Bath. You know the pain.
Yes.
Auntie Bertie and my grandmother. She told me they were brother and sister children. So all of the children of George Payne, Austin, Joe Payne, the fellow do. In fact, my sister told me, so sister one of your family. I am not acquainted with the person, to tell you the truth. But blood is blood. And I want to encourage young people of Nevis and St. Kitts. Put a value on life. Put a value on life. What the life you take, you cannot give back. And it is going to follow you through your life. You know, so we need to show more love.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I heard a comment, I think it was last night or last week, when you said you had asked the NRP, the opposition in Nevis, to support and to promote the vaccination. A comment was made like this. So when they go that, then people can think that they are supporting your party.
Mm-hmm.
You follow?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they can come out and say, well, thing otherwise it's going to look like they're making your position stronger. But you gave examples tonight.
Mm-hmm.
With other countries who are even more divisive than us. I mean, take Jamaica, PNP and JLP. And other countries where parties, I mean, tribal. But yet they have come together because they understand the common good. And I wish our people would do the same thing. But I think sometimes they're influenced by the opposition in St. Kitts, you know. And the thing that bothers me really is that a number of those who are talking are fully vaccinated. So they mean that in that case they only care for themselves. So when we fully vaccinated, what happened to you happened to you. And that is not acceptable, eh? So I pray for our people, you know. Pray about it. And a question arguing, I had to ask somebody today. What can the NEOC do to please you? If they say they're going to close school, you hear how who can look after the children and the mothers them can't go to work. And now the same such saying, how they could open school and they had corona.
Mm-hmm.
You can't please people. All you got to do, when you're making a decision, the best one. You can't please everybody. Because sometimes it's the same set of people making the same kind of noise. I asked somebody today, I said, darling, if they're doing contact tracing, any children that is affected will be picked up. And one saying, oh, they could do the rapid test. I said, if you intend to do the rapid test, you cannot do the rapid test on the morning of the school. Because according to one doctor I heard, he said, it takes about 15 minutes. So if you have to give each child a rapid test, do you have enough rapid tests to give all of them at the same time? And how long will it take?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so sometimes I think, sometimes my people grieve my heart, you know. Serious. Sometimes they make us look foolish. The things they say, are you one of your good citizens? One of your good citizens. Somebody I say, they must stop the vaccine and done with the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Just let it COVID go so, and you get a herd immunity. Of course, you get herd immunity, but the herd might end up smaller than if you take the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think sometimes our people reason, you know. They're not very logical. Another one, they're putting out this one about, oh, you see, by the time the vaccine comes, the spread starts. I mean, there's no correlation between it. If the virus was not brought out of the hotel in St. Kitts and into the population, we might have gone on much longer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, but people, I mean, when I hear say, Lord Jesus, people obviously listening to our people think that we are ignorant people. Too many illegal things are being said. And sometimes I think people need to be helped to explain. You want, all right, done with the vaccine, done with the mask. So what happened if it break out in your house and everybody pass away?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we are in that case, I think everybody can have a ventilator in every household. You know, we just don't reason, and it is pitiful. So don't expect any support, because with election looming next year, it is felt that for the opposition to support you, they are in fact supporting your party.
Yeah, but caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Caller, but I use the example of St. Lucia, which I think is an excellent example, because the then opposition leader, Mr. Peer, went all out to get his people vaccinated, and he spoke up publicly. He knew that he was contesting an election, and he knew that if his party won and he became prime minister,
people have to deal with the problem.
Exactly. And so, guess what happened? He ran and he became prime minister.
Yes. But look, I feel sorry for him, you know, because I am saying to myself, boy, anybody who knew who goes into government at a time like this, the upper gum tree, upper gum tree, you know, because they have the problem, then they have to, you see the Taliban, when they don't shoot up and thing up, they got to wonder what they're going to do next. The Americans gone, yes, but the people might turn on them when we want to eat, you know. So the murmuring start already, and then the infighting and stuff, because they don't have the money, they don't have the things. The people are facing all sorts of difficulties. It's the same thing. So if, for example, just for example, say, all right, in Happy Wheel, what they're going to do the next day? What will they do the next day? When they hear how many cases they have, what they're going to do? They're going to lock down the whole country. They're saying, don't lock down, don't shut down. People want, in fact, to me, they're encouraging people not to take. That's what it boils down to, you know. And then they're going to say, oh, well, the people, they must work and whatnot. I asked them a question already, you know. Have you read the Constitution? Oh, let me congratulate the Division girl, Miss Claxton, I think she is. The one who got the Chevron scholarship. What her name is?
Matt, oh, forgive me, Slack, Michelle Slack.
Yes, let me compliment him.
Yes.
What became of the young fellow who had passed 17 or so one time? Where is he?
I believe he's studying medicine, I'm told, in Scotland.
Oh, God bless him. God bless him.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to encourage all the young people to qualify yourself. Qualify yourself. Get a skill. You know, do something. Because sometimes it's frustration that drives some of them, you know. They're frustrated and they want the requirement, the whatever. So I want to encourage them, as Paul, my good friend, Devon Cornelius, you're listening? He has potential. I tell him, look, get yourself together and get yourself qualified.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to all of you, and a lot of work can be done from home now. So they don't have to worry. You go to the UE, you book up, you can do a lot of your studying and so online. So I want to encourage our young people, you know, to move ahead. That is what move us tonight. Move Mark, it move you, it move plenty other people. And Douglas, Harris, all of us start out poor. And by the grace of God, we are moving ahead. So we want to encourage you. Don't allow people to tell you, well, oh, it's COVID. And no. Start planning now. Start aspiring what it is you want to do. What can you do? We talk about you want to diversify. As far as I'm concerned, the act of diversification does not belong to the government alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think our people get it. It must be something that is different that you want to do, that you think could help to change. Because it is the young people who we expect to help to diversify. You understand? So just keep encouraging them and talk to those Freeman family. I don't know them either. I know they played because I used to spend vacation in Bath. But all the Freeman, my mother, father was a Freeman. All of the Freeman over there, some of them not behaving so nice. They are messing up the name, the Freeman name. We're so proud of it down here. I want to be proud of it up there. I heard one of them passed the other day, somebody for them died.
I'm not sure. The Freeman is a large family, so I'm really not sure.
I tell you.
Right. All right.
Yes, so God bless Nevis and God bless St. Kitts.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Thank you for your contribution. And of course, we continue to encourage our people to do the right thing. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But I particularly like the example, as I said, of Philip Pear from St. Lucia, because he recognized as leader of the opposition that if he were elected, that he would have the same problem of COVID to deal with. And so he staked out very early that he would partner with the government. Now that he is the Prime Minister, he has so much credibility because he can say, when I was outside, I saw that this was the right thing to do. Now that I'm inside, I continue to advocate that you do the right thing. Now if he was out there wishy-washy and he not sure and he don't know and people must this and people, no, a leader must stand up, and that's what he did. And I think that there is certainly some credit to that. Now I'm told that those who are waiting for a little update on the cricket, that is 166 for 8. That is what Jamaica made, and so the Patriots now have to make 167 to win. So it's a tall order. I believe that's just more than 8 and over. So we'll have to see how that goes. The Patriots have done well so far. I should have won a Patreon shirt tonight, and I wasn't thinking. But they've done well so far, and we continue to wish them well. They're our team. And of course, we know that young Keswin Archibald is on the team from Brownhill, and we're hopeful, therefore, that they continue to do well. It is 9:15 o'clock. I have 45 minutes left. I'm hoping that you're still keeping me company and that individuals will call in. Just again to remind the good people of Bath Village that tomorrow evening at the Alberta Payne Community Center, we're going to have a town hall meeting with Public Works. I hope to be there as well, dealing with the very, very important issue of the road expansion upgrade system in Bath. I think that it's long awaited, and certainly I would hope that the entire community comes out. We're talking about jobs, we're talking about heavy equipment operators, we're talking about the good people of Bath. Of course, people will be inconvenienced, and so we're also asking for people's patience. The numbers again, ladies and gentlemen, 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night, man.
Good evening to you.
I was listening a radio station there, and they were talking about the percentage of school teachers vaccinated, and it's a very low percentage.
Yes.
So I think is them the issue supposed to protecting our children.
Yes.
With that percentage, I don't think you all should go to school next Wednesday. I think you all should go ahead with the online learning till them count them number go up with the vaccination with the teachers. I think we have got a problem with the medical system, the health system, if they got to go on, because the teachers go, if the children COVID, the COVID brings the children and the COVID get the fever. So I think it can be a problem. I think you all should be considered.
But let us look, for example, at what you're proposing, huh?
Yeah.
If we do not open the schools, what does that do in terms of parents who have to go to work? What does that have to do in terms of the quality of the education that our children are going to get? I think while we've tried our best with the virtual learning, we all know children, we know that their attention span sometimes is not the best. And so we feel that in-person education is still the best. So what is the compromise? Do we close down the schools then indefinitely?
No. When you started the program, you were saying about the employers protecting the business, right? So who really going to protect our children? You got to be the government. You got to copy the plan.
My brother, I hear you, but what will be the plan? That is the question. That's the question. What is the plan? What plan could you come up with which doesn't involve teachers and people doing the right thing?
Well, the teachers them need to step up and go and take the vaccination and thing, because I don't see the health system going to be overwhelmed with problems if that got to happen Wednesday.
Well, we're hopeful for the best. We do have, as you say, the outbreak now, so we are conscious of that. But certainly, the protocols that we used before continue to be in place. You know, the mask wearing, the hand sanitizing stations, etc. But we're really hopeful, because at this point we have to be hopeful, and we have to be hopeful that the teachers will do the right thing. I mean, really, it comes down to that.
I was surprised when I hear the percentage very low. So I just say, well, that mean we compromising our children's health.
Well, my brother, this is why we're asking people to be responsible. I'm sure there's no teacher out there who would want to compromise the students' health. And that is why I keep saying to our teachers, our caregivers in our nurseries and daycare centers, preschool, those who take care of our elderly, that there are people in your care. Because a teacher is not just a teacher. Students are in that teacher's care, who you must also think about keeping safe.
Well, teachers are intelligent people, and I think they know that they're compromising the children, so they need to go and do what they have to do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, take care.
Okay. It is 20 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 1700. This is On the Mark. Real talk across the Narrows. And we are giving it you straight, because it's always straight talk here at Von Radio. We have been here for quite some time, as I said now, almost a decade and a half. And I have grown with you. When I started this show, I had completely black hair and black beard. I'm now mostly gray. But I am hopeful that the people continue to stay with us and stick with us and enjoy the show. This, for me, is a very important program, and it is one that we continue to bring every Wednesday. Next week, Wednesday, I'm letting you know in advance that the Honorable Eric Evelyn will be hosting the show, because he will be coming to talk to you about the Culturama activities, which, as we know, this year there will be some activities, virtual only, that will be taking place over the holiday weekend, the Independence holiday weekend. And so he'll be coming next week to talk to you about that. He'll also be coming with the proprietor of Agnola Productions, who's putting on some interesting plays and productions here. We welcome Agnola back home, and she's here with us. So there are going to be some interesting times ahead, I'm told, and I want to commend, of course, Eric Evelyn, who is always working, a man of and for the people in every sense. and his team, his PS, of course, PS Glasgow, Abernathy, the man who's Mr. Culture himself. They've all been really trying to put something together, and I'm told that the shows thus far, the tents thus far, via the internet, streaming live, that those have been fantastic. I'm told that the finals are going to be pay-per-view, but I'm hopeful that our people will respond positively to this attempt not to forget about our culture and our cultural activities despite COVID, but to bring you a virtual edition. We had Carnival in St. Kitts done virtually last year, so we're following that model, and we definitely hope for the best, that our people, wherever they are, could enjoy the Soca Monarch, could enjoy the Kaiso, as the case may be. And we decided to do this because we know that those Calypsonians and Soca artists had already invested quite significantly in getting themselves ready for Culturama. And so when we were hit with this outbreak, we came up with this virtual edition in September in order to allow our people some measure of entertainment and to keep our culture alive despite the situation. So next week, look forward to the Honorable Eric Evelyn, God willing. He'll be here with his team to discuss what's going on in relation to culture and Culturama. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On The Mark. As I said, I'm your host, Mark Brantley. We're taking your calls at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. The Jamaica Tollers will tour 166. The Patriots have to make 167 in 20 overs. We wish them all the very best. Now, insofar as development on the island is concerned, I saw a very interesting perspective coming out of New Zealand in terms of trying to list all that the government there was doing in the space of 2 minutes. And it will be difficult to do, of course, but certainly I feel that despite it all, there has been tremendous progress made on the island of Nevis, despite the challenges. And I told someone the other day that COVID has really robbed my administration of 2 years, because we had to put plans and programs on hold. The economy was brought to its knees, and really COVID is still no end in sight. So we have suffered, we have struggled, but we have not given up. We have not given up. The island of Nevis has birthed a film industry here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to publicly again thank Mr. Philip Martinez and MSR Media for choosing Nevis. I recall when I spoke to them in December of last year and encouraged them to come, and they came. And I must say that they fulfilled all that they said that they will do. They took a break, but they're back, and they will start filming again in St. Kitts and in Nevis, because this is one of the attributes, the accolades I think that this government will get, that we have brought an industry that is benefiting not only Nevis but St. Kitts as well. And our colleagues and our people in St. Kitts, our brothers and sisters, will benefit, because I know they have plans to make movies on both islands. We say we're two islands, one paradise, and that is true. And that is why I want all of us to start to think big, start to think nationally, not just in terms of our island. Because here's Little Nevis and this NIA led by me at this point in our history that brought an industry here that is benefiting St. Kitts as well. What a remarkable thing. And that is as it should be. That St. Kitts should benefit Nevis and Nevis should benefit St. Kitts. We are one country. And I think that, ladies and gentlemen, is very important, and that we ought to remember. So despite the challenges, we are not rolled over and played dead. We have continued to work. We have continued to innovate. We've continued to come up with ideas. And I want to thank the members of the team, Cabinet, our Deputy Premier, hardest working Minister, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, our Minister of Works, the Honorable Spencer Brand, who said to the people of Charlestown, give me one term and I will earn the rest. And what a way he has performed. What a way he has performed. The Honorable Eric Evelyn, a man who needs no introduction, he needs no praise, because his work speaks for itself. The Honorable Troy Liebert, who did great work in public works when he was there and is now doing great work in education. The Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, who did great work in youth and gender when she was there, community affairs when she was there, social services when she was there. And she's now doing a stellar job in health. and gender. So the truth is that all of the cabinet members have been engaged. All of the cabinet members have been at work. And we have brainstormed and sought to come up with new ideas and refine old ideas in order to take the island forward. Some have thrown their hands up and said the sky is falling, COVID is here, there's nothing we can do. We haven't done that. We have persisted and we have kept working and we have kept, ladies and gentlemen, doing the very best that we can, sometimes in very difficult circumstances, but doing the best anyway. And along the way, some hard decisions have had to be taken. I was amused and bemused recently to see the opposition in Nevis as they continue to seek relevance, and that is, of course, as it should be. They are a political party. But I have been amused and bemused to see the extent to which they're going, to the point where they have raised the issue of debt. And hear them, the debt in Nevis, run upon the Mark Brantley, the debt is too high, CCM run up the debt. So I think some perspective is important. Under the NRP leadership, 2006 they came into government. They met a debt stock of $230.8 million in 2006 for Nevis. 230.8 million EC dollars was what the NRP met in 2006. By the time they left office in 2013, that debt was $389.71 million. So they moved it from 230.8 to 389.71. That represented an increase in the government debt stock of $158.91 million, or $26.4 million per year. So to put differently, NRP ran up debt when they were in government from 2006 to 2013 at $26.4 million per year. That was the additional debt that was done on the NRP. The CCM under Vance Emery took over in 2013 after we won the election. And the debt stock from 2013 until June 2021, that is up to June of this year, moved from $389.71 million when CCM took over in 2013 to now, as of June, $489.1 million, an increase of $99.39 million under CCM leadership. In 8.5 years, therefore, the CCM has added $99.39 million to the debt of the island's debt at a rate of $11.6 million per year. Now figures are stubborn things, numbers are stubborn things. NRP came in met a debt of $230.8 million. After 6 years, they ran it up to $389.71 million. The accumulated debt of $158.91 million in that period they were at the helm, or $26.4 million per year. CCM took over in 2013, and from then until June of 2021, we moved the debt from $389.71 million to $489.1 million, an increase of $99.3 million, or $11.69 million per year. Put differently, NRP was running up debt at $26.4 million per year. CCM has run up debt at $11.69 million per year. Debt is bad. I don't like debt. In my own personal dealings, I try to avoid as much debt as possible. But the question is, if you're looking on a head-to-head comparison, how could you run up debt at $26.49 million per year and say that a government that is running debt at $11.69 million per year is reckless? Well, if CCM is reckless, what were you? Because you were accumulating debt at more than twice the rate that CCM has accumulated debt. I think that's important. And remember that NRP never had to deal with COVID. From 2006 to 2013, there was no COVID. You never had to deal with a global pandemic. that has brought major economies, the United States, Germany, Italy, the United Kingdom, brought them to their knees. You never had to deal with that. I have had to deal with that. CCM has had to deal with that. And through the grace of God, we have kept the lights on. We have paid every public servant on time and in full. We have paid every pensioner on time and in full. Are things perfect? Absolutely not. Would I have liked this debt to be moving in the opposite direction? Absolutely yes. But as I said to someone, what was the government to do? Start to send home our workers? Say to our pensioners we're sorry? Do like we're told happened in another Caribbean island, that we give you some of your salary in cash and some we give an IOU? This is government. This is not Ballyhouse. It is difficult, and difficult decisions have to be made sometimes. And so my simple suggestion, don't pick a fight that you can't win, because the numbers don't lie. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Caller, could you please call back? 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. The numbers don't lie. So I continue. Let's go to the phones then. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Hi, Mark.
Yes.
Hey, good night. It's I want to hear.
How are you, my brother? How are you feeling?
I am hanging in. I'm hanging in. This situation with the school, Mark, it's very serious. Because I think I sent my child to school to get an education, not to bring on corona. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it should be mandatory for every adult that goes to that gate to be vaccinated. I mean, I don't care who gets vexed. This corona is a serious thing. And people have it as a joke. This is no joke. I spent 3 days in A&E, and man, I'm telling you, people have to be careful. This corona is taking our country, man. Yeah. But so this school thing, I'm concerned about it, because I don't want my child to bring on the corona to me, you know. I'm my situation, I have to stay away from that. So I think you guys need to look into that. Otherwise, the government might end up in a legal challenge with someone. Yeah.
Well, Carl, I think you're making a very important point about, you sending your children to school. We have had a safe schools environment here for some time, where we have promoted safe schools. We have said that the environment at school has to be safe for students and teachers, and everybody has to play their part. Now, if these children cannot be vaccinated, these young children, then the issue obviously is, should the teachers not protect themselves and protect the children who are in their charge? I think that's a valid question.
Yeah. I think the teachers is very I mean, I don't even know what words to use right now. But they should be cooperating a little better than that, knowing the sensitivity of the problem. But anyhow, let's see how it goes.
All right, my brother.
I just decided I'll put it in my 2 cents. But I'm not doing too bad right now.
All right, well, rest yourself, brother. We're praying for you, okay?
Yeah.
As always, rest yourself, okay? Thanks for the call.
Yeah.
All right. And that was a very good friend, Fitzroy Warner, and making the appeal, as we're all making the appeal. And I think he makes a very powerful point. He sends his child to school for an education, not for COVID. It's a powerful point. It's a stark point, but it's a powerful point. When you send your child, you drop off your child at Charlestown Primary, at Elizabeth Pemberton Primary, you take them there for them to get an education. And we, the government, say that our environment in our schools is safe. So it means, therefore, that those who work in that environment must be responsible. It's as simple as that. We continue to take your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. So we're talking about the government's response to COVID and the fact that we have not sat on our hands. We have continued to work. And so we came around and we created this movie industry with a partnership, a groundbreaking partnership with MSR Media. We have continued conversations with other movie producers as we try to get others to come here as well and discover Nevis in terms of the movie industry. Matter of fact, I had a recent discussion with Netflix individuals. We all know Netflix. And I was very pleased because they said to me that Nevis was popping up now all over Hollywood in what they call the trades. The magazines and the chatter that's associated with movie business, Nevis is popping up. And I was impressed because we never heard about Nevis in the movie business prior to this administration making this effort. And I believe that if we manage this well, we are definitely on the ground floor of something very important. We see MSR started the Acting Academy here. We see youngsters here now engaged in the movie business. In fact, I know some have been promoted to management positions within the operation here in Nevis. Local youngsters. So that is something that I believe we ought to be proud of. Because in the middle of this pandemic, when everybody else was saying, woe is me, and wringing their hands, look around our region. Tell me what new you see around the region. Nevis can put up its hand and say, we have a movie industry that we have started and we're hopeful we can build on. Look at agriculture. We pivoted from since March of last year when this COVID pandemic came. I remember like yesterday when the cabinet here met in Nevis. And I said, if the port of Miami were to close, we are going to have a crisis on our hands in terms of food security. And one thing about that gentleman called Alexis Jeffers, once you see the cabinet decides Alexis Jeffers go out and get this done, he's going to get it done. He's a doer. He gets the job done. And so we said to him as Minister of Agriculture, we are going to put what scarce resources we have towards food security. And so our farmers got free fertilizer, free seeds, free seedlings, free fencing wire to fence their farms. We provided labor, we provided free water. We invested a tidy sum in creating a freezer facility at Prospect to provide greater storage so that when the farmers produce, they bring the store and we lengthen the life of the produce. We didn't forget our animal farmers. We partnership with ECCG, I think they're called out of St. Vincent. We got them free feed. We didn't forget our fisher folk. The government provided them free fish pot wire and a 50% discount on additional rolls of fish pot wire. You see, this was a government that said, listen, we don't have much. But the little that we have, how can we use it in order to ensure that we build out the economy and we put ourselves in the best position insofar as COVID-19 is concerned? The minister didn't stay there. In June of last year, he would have won in a historic victory the seat there of St. Thomas's and St. James and became the federal minister of agriculture as well. And he has not sat down because as part of that new portfolio, he has been able to secure shade houses for farmers throughout St. Kitts and Nevis. And we've identified, I believe, it is 4 farmers on the island of Nevis who are already into hydroponics and shade house production, who are using technology to generate food production, to enhance our food security. And each of those farmers was given a shade house, valued, I'm told, at $60,000 each. And the idea was to boost production for those already with the expertise and the commitment, serious farmers. The result of that is that we now see farmers here supplying even the supermarkets on St. Kitts. I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, that is what a government that is thinking and working for you does. And I look forward to the day, post-COVID, when our hotels are only serving our local produce. Because why should we be importing tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce, sweet peppers, onions? Why? We can produce those in abundance here. So that, I think, has been a very important initiative. Agriculture, greater food security. We lowered prices at the abattoir during the pandemic. Why? Because we wanted to ease the burden on our livestock farmers. So I want you, despite the chatter, to look at what we have been doing. Construction. We came up with a far-reaching plan for the construction sector. We understand that many of our people make a living out of construction. And so we incentivize those who wanted to build. Remove duty, remove VAT. Said to them that if they were constructing, they could bring in their materials or buy the materials here at TDC and Hosfords and Island Tires and Hardware and all the other suppliers, that they could buy what they want here and benefit from those concessions. And so many have taken up the offer. Look around the island of Nevis. I said to people that I like to take a little drive sometimes on a Saturday or Sunday. Sometimes I navigate this entire island more than once. And when you look, you see the amount of construction activity. Turn up some of the side roads and things, you see homes, apartments, business places being constructed, places being renovated. That is what that stimulus was designed to do. And who's doing the work? Our people. During COVID, we met with the realtors in Nevis, those who sell real estate. They said they had a lot of stock on their hands, a lot of homes that were up for sale. A lot of them were homes belonging to members of what we call the expat community. Those who come to Nevis, spend 3, 4, 5 months and then go back. They own homes here. Many of them were getting elderly. They wanted to sell the homes. We heard the cry of the realtors. We said, what can we do? And we came up with a plan to waive the alien landholding license fee. Alien landholding license is a permission that you require if you're coming from outside as a non-national to buy a piece of property here in Nevis. We waive the fee. The fee is 10%. So if you're buying property for $100,000, you're always required to pay an additional $10,000 to the government. We say, okay, we'll forego that to make it cheaper for you to buy and hopefully stimulate activity in the real estate sector. And I was so pleased to see that in the space of 9 months, $70 million in real estate changed hands in Nevis. Think about that. Small economy. $70 million in the height of COVID. We have not stopped there. We have recognized that the government, difficult as times are, that our expenditure on capital projects adds stimulus. Look at the United States, rich country. What is President Biden doing? An infrastructural revolution in the United States. Trillions of dollars. Well, they could afford that. We can't. But the bottom line is, he recognizes that to lift America out of this woeful economic environment that COVID has brought, that he absolutely has to be able to increase activity in the economy. And one way you can increase activity is for public spending. Because who's going to do the roads and the bridges and the tunnels and all of that, the highways across America? Private firms. And individuals are going to be put to work. So here, adopting that model, of course, scaled down because of our limited resource. We said we're going to start the road in Butlers. I drove over there the other day, hive of activity, local contractors putting up the walls and all that we do in relation to road construction here. The truckers, the back operators, the heavy equipment operators, as much as possible, will get a bite. You're not talking about doing the road in Bath. The people of Bath not only will get relief after all these years as the people of Butlers and Brownhill and Hanley's Road and Braziers and Shaw's Road and Newcastle did, but they can get some work over there. Some of the young men will be put to work. The heavy equipment and back operators, some of them right there in Bath, will be put to work. So the government has not been sitting still. As hard as times are and as difficult as the situation continues to be, we have continued to make wise decisions in order to ensure that the economy continues to flourish. Small businesses. We have said that small businesses is the backbone of any economy. And so we approach the Taiwanese government. We got $5 million. And we've placed it with SIDU, which through the credit union is making small loans available. And who have we targeted? Women and youth. I remember when I spoke to the Taiwanese President Tsai in Taipei and indicated the plan to her, she was very excited because a targeted small business loan to women and youth, two demographics that were underserved in terms of the business community. And I want to thank the people at SIDU who have continued. I want to thank the Ministry of Gender Affairs that has put in place these boot camps, because we're not just lending money. We're lending money at a cheap rate. I think it's only 4%. But in addition to that, we are providing training so people understand the ins and outs of business and can start a small business. Just yesterday, I messaged a young woman, and she had come to me and had indicated that she had this small business idea and she was getting some funding from this program and she needed some additional funding. And I got in touch with her and I inquired how things were going, and my heart was full when she said, "Mr. Brantley, I got the help I needed and the business is doing great." She said, "Praise be to God." She's a Christian woman. Praise be to God, the business is doing great. That's what I want to hear, because that little business will now be able to employ somebody or somebodies, and if they continue to build in due course, you know where that goes. So we continue to put programs like those in place. We've continued with certain major projects like the park at Pinnies. Again, through our diplomatic efforts, I would have gone to Taiwan and requested of our Taiwanese brothers and sisters that they fund this park, and they have answered positively. I drove by there today and they're now putting up these beautiful lights. The park is on schedule to be open on the 15th of December, God willing. And I believe it will be a modern marvel. We are harvesting runoff water. We are using LED lighting throughout. We have walkways and jogging trails. We have, what they call them again, a boardwalk. We have children's play areas. I am sure that parents during the summer months will just be able to drop off the kids, go to the park. Imagine that. I am in my mind seeing our artists coming out with their easel and their sketch pad and doing their drawings and their paintings right there. I'm envisaging somebody taking their picnic chair and going there with a lovely book and spending the day. That people can bring their elderly relatives there and say, listen, relax in a nice environment, clean, pristine environment, beautiful bathroom facilities, gift shops and other shops, an amphitheater where we can have events and people sit on the lawn and enjoy some nice soca music, some good reggae music. And we're not going to stop there. Just this morning we discussed the next phase of the project, which will be, of course, the beautification of the beach bar areas, proper roads and walkways, etc. there, proper bathroom facilities. We are not sitting still. And I am inviting one and all, although I know I'm very early, to the opening of that park in December, because it's going to be important. It will be a significant development for our people. And you can't talk about the park at Pinnis without remembering Malcolm Gishard. Because it was Malcolm Gishard who, when Pinnis lands were acquired, preserved that 14 or so acres that the park is being built on for the people of Nevis. I must remember people like Ken Evelyn, who was an early champion of a park there. I must remember people like Ann Bass, who assisted initially in the park and the park concept. All of the individuals who have been involved, including the prominent secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, John Hanley, Mr. Mika Lawrence, who used to be at the ministry and is now with NIPA, because she was one who led some of the town hall discussions on this park. We went across the length and breadth of Nevis and had discussions about this Pinnis Park. So a lot of people have put in a lot of effort over many years. And here we are now approaching completion of a significant project for the island of Nevis and the wider Federation. This is a government that has not slept. We have not stood still. Next Tuesday, God willing, we're going to open the CCTV command center in Charlestown. It should have been done yesterday, but we had some glitches in terms of the protocols. And so we're going to open it next Tuesday, God willing. And I'm telling you, when I went into that command center, and you see the images all around you from our high quality camera system that we've deployed as an additional tool in our fight against crime, it was amazing. It was as if I was in a major metropolitan country looking at what they're doing, bringing technology to bear, assisting to keep our people safe. This is what we've been doing, ladies and gentlemen. We have not been sitting back. We have been working. We have been making every effort despite the challenges, and I keep going back to that. Some people say, oh, no, tell me nothing about COVID. You have to talk about COVID because nothing has ever occurred in our history since independence to destabilize and to destroy our economy as COVID has. Nothing. And so we have had, ladies and gentlemen, to be innovative. We have had to be responsive. Today, Your Honorable Eric Evelyn announced, and I'm sure he will speak more about it, because it will be a feather in his cap, that all the playing fields in Nevis will be retrofitted with energy saving lights. All. That we are shortly to start that program, working with Nevlec and some private contractors, to ensure that all the playing fields, the lights are changed out to energy saving LED lighting, and that we'll be able to bring lighting to fields like Hard Times, Brown Hill, and others, and upgrade the lighting at VOGN, Cotton Brown, and others. Again, a government working for you. We have changed out all the street lights in Nevis, from the old lighting now to LED lighting. People used to be calling even on this show and say, Lord, Mr. Brandt, I need a light outside my house. You don't hear nobody calling now, because we have been able to do that project island-wide, and we continue to do that project. A government that is working for you. During this whole pandemic, we haven't laid off one person. Not one individual has lost their job. We have kept the pact with our public service, kept the faith with our public service. And that is why I appeal to our public servants, many of whom are home during lockdown, during curfew, and still got their full pay on time. And that's why I appeal to them, listen, work with us as a government in terms of vaccinating and keeping yourself and your family and your workplace safe. Last week, we had to shut down 2 government departments due to COVID. So when I make the appeal, I'm coming from a place where I understand, because I have been in the middle of it as the leader of this island at this difficult period. And when I thank my colleagues, I thank them because I know the effort that they would have put in. It has not been easy, but we have not laid down and played dead. So I hear sometimes a chat about nothing happening and the place dead and all of this. The evidence does not support that. That is what you call empty rhetoric. The evidence does not support that, because the evidence will show that St. Kitts and Nevis has been progressing, and more specifically the island of Nevis has been progressing. Here I talk about agriculture. I talked about government public spending on infrastructure. I talk about the park at Pinnis. I talked about the investment in small businesses and the small business community. I talk about a brand new industry in the movie industry. All during this COVID pandemic. We had to take scarce resources and divert it from other areas into health, because we understand that we needed to upgrade our health facilities and our capacity and capability to deal with COVID. We want to thank the Cuban Brigade that came, the nurses and doctors that came to assist us. But ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't just that, We had to convert an entire building in Prospect as an isolation site, hoping we don't have to use it, but having it anyway. We invested in ventilators and other equipment which is considered life-saving. We, for the first time in our history, got 2 brand new ambulances delivered at the same time at the Alexandra Hospital. And I will forever thank Minister Hazel Brandy, because she championed that project. 2 brand new ambulances. Whereas some may take that for granted on the island of Nevis, that was a big deal. It's the first time it has ever happened in our history. During COVID, the hospital project, the expansion there, it started some years ago. We have continued with it. And while we had a slight hiatus because we were doing some reconfiguration on the interior, that construction, I'm told, is to resume very shortly. The last report we had suggested it should resume by the middle of this month. That is a government that is working for you. Look around our island. We have continued despite the challenges to ensure that solid waste is working, your trash is being collected, your water. What has happened in water here is nothing short of revolutionary. You hear anybody now complaining that no water there? It used to be the cry. Spencer Brand came to the cabinet. He said, listen, there's a well up at Hamilton. If we get a water treatment, a water filtration system, we could put hundreds of thousands of gallons into the system by treating that water. And that's what we did. That's what we did. And our people now are the beneficiaries. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on and on. But my trusted friend here put on the music on me. He said, the time is up. But I want to just thank those of you and say, listen, at the end of the day, look at the record, not just of talk, but of performance, of improvements to our island, of bringing value to our people. That's our show. I didn't get a final update on the cricket, but I hope it's going well. And of course, we're saying go Patriots. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow right here on Vaughan Radio at 1 p.m. I beg of you, have a good night. The people of Bath, please come out to the town hall tomorrow and let's discuss this long-promised island main road running through Bath that we are certainly going to do starting very soon. That's our show. Thank you, good night, and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
With all the power from the